Good afternoon. I'm Randy Deere, and I'd like to welcome you to the January 28th meeting of the Code Enforcement Nuisance Board. Let me go ahead and swear in the staff, if I could, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Here.
Dearbone,
Yep.
Eggleton, here, Thomas,
Here.
Okay, with that, we're going straight to the hearing agenda and appeals. And case number one is case 2019-8982, citation number 2019-16873, property 2809 Nashville Road, owner Scorpion Enterprises Incorporated, respondent Brian Trauber, officer James Hetty. Mr. Hetty.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, this one, I had a complaint August the 23rd, and this property is zoned heavy industrial with a BE, a binding element, and that binding element, it prohibits automobile towing, but also, if you read down through there, it's maintained clean and orderly, and not have any kind of salvage material or inoperable automobiles or inoperable equipment. And when I inspected the facilities out there, there was a number of cars that and trailers and different equipment out there, but this one on October the 16th shows that there's a few vehicles right there, and there was some on the other side of the building. But as I went out and inspected, a lot of these vehicles, they didn't move. They're still in the same areas. I sent an NOV, notice of violation, certified mail, and it came back undelivered. So therefore, I hand delivered notice of violation there at the facility. And during my inspections, I didn't see where any improvements were made. Therefore, there was a citation issued, and I hand delivered that one also. As I went through, this is the latest photos in January, but I went back through Street View, and from Street View all the way back to 2015, there's Brad, is there a pointer I can? Oh, yeah. I don't, if you can tell, there's a little vehicle in the back there that is one of the vehicles that's represented in some of the other photos, but also there's two red vehicles, or a red and a green Blazer right there, and this was Street View from July 2015. There's another photo where you can see some of the vehicles, and there's a car back in the back that looks like it hadn't moved either, and this is Street View 2015. And then September 2018, it's still the vehicles there. So with the zoning, it's heavy industrial, but with the binding element, it prohibits the inoperable vehicles, and some of the other wording there that was, yeah, the storing of the inoperable equipment, salvage material, and the other fenced and maintained in an orderly manner.
Anything else, sir?
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Trauber? Yes, sir. Mr. Trauber, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
Okay, thank you.
one, they're not junk cars. I'm a collector. I've had these cars for, as you can see, years. I've moved a whole bunch of what you had in the pictures, but what is still not moved yet, all of those, the closest one to the camera, it's still there, but the others have been moved. And then the green and the red one. And, yeah, those are the only three that haven't been moved yet. But they're not junk vehicles. They are complete, running, and intact. I mean, I can't drive all of them, and they aren't licensed and insured. But what you pulled up as far as a thing is probably is a junkyard or an automobile towing lot. It's not what it is. They're my personal property. It's not commercial storage. It's private storage. And there's a lean-to on the back, and there was still a lot of the construction materials that we had to do something with. And so now I've got slots where I can put these things at a site in the back. And the other three, the Blazers, I promised to my grandson. He'll be 11 this year, and it won't be long he'll be driving. He's loved that one Blazer since he was like 5, and I told him it was his. And so, but in the other photos, you can see the other vehicles. You know, the white truck back there, and, the '74 Laguna. I have cars inside the building too. You know, my 2 Corvettes, 67 Chevelle, a 71 Monte Carlo. I've collected cars. I broke myself to where I don't buy nothing else. I haven't in years. So I mean, I'm just keeping. I've got 8 kids and 6 sons. So and they're fighting over everything now. So, but I'm my grandson's dad is supposed to take those and start fixing them up for Joshua, and I don't know. He's been promising to come and get them, but I am going to go ahead and move them in the back behind the building out of sight. It's just as soon as the weather breaks. David calls. He said that he would come and do it for me if nothing happened in the next week or so. Because I know that's been a lot of the contention, but you know, this is the first time it's ever come up like this. I've always, I mean, oh, I'm sorry. All of these are anonymous complaints. Half of them's anonymous. Different people. This is open records request. But I've always passed, you know, within a short amount of time from the citations that you all have wrote, and I have no qualms about trying to comply this time. If after moving this, what else should I do? I want to try to get along. I don't, you know, but I don't want to have to give up my car collections.
Some of the issues were cars on grass. Is that right, Mr. Heading? Okay.
Thanks.
While he's looking that up, is this the building you're talking about that you've got 2 Corvettes stored in?
Very back building.
I'm sorry?
The very back building.
Do you have any room to put any more vehicles in there?
I'm trying to shuffle around because the Laguna, the one I think, I don't know, no, that's not the one you took to the pointer. But it's back there in the back by the white Dodge pickup, which, yes, you can barely see it. It's that black car. I'm trying to get it inside.
On the notice of violation, what I had, I'd cited the binding element, but for the corrections, one was remove the inoperable vehicles, and number 2 would be maintain the property in a clean and orderly manner. So there was a few things, I don't know, stacked up, different areas like the trailer and like that vehicle right there. It's been sitting there forever, but
We use the trailer continuously. I mean, and that's just where we park it when we're done. I mean, does it need a designated area? Or?
no, just what I'd put in here, clean and orderly, which was in the binding elements. was the word.
I mow around everything, because I push mow all that front. And like I said, that one is, and they'll be all gone.
Yeah, the binding elements number 2 right there in the middle says it will be fenced and maintained in a clean and orderly manner.
It's used
so-
for commercial storage, but that's not commercial storage. It says in the event this property is used for commercial storage, it
Yeah.
would be fenced and maintained in clean and orderly manner.
Yeah, its zone is heavy industrial, and it's a business there for, it's operating as a business.
Still zoned what it's zoned though. I mean, it's, and there's 4 acres there. I mean, I can always do something with the rest of it. The business is just on the front.
Question, how long will it take you to get all those vehicles put away?
Like I said, in the pictures, just the Blazers are the only thing that's out there now, except for the one Laguna. And I want to get it inside. You asked me, was there room for any more inside? And that's one that I want to get inside, but I can't promise. There's so much stuff I have to move inside because I've started using part of the building for liquor storage. Because that's all connected. That's all one continuous building now.
Are there other places off the property that you could put them, at least for the time being, and then once you...
Well, the most valuable ones, that's the reason that I brought them with me, is because, I don't know if y'all remember 2 or 3 years ago, but me and my oldest son and my father, people have been stripping these vehicles, and I didn't bring none of those. I just brought the ones that I thought the most of that were still intact. But there's been a guy shot over these vehicles. Me and my son have held people at gunpoint till the sheriffs got there. And so, and that was where they were at the farm in Simpson County. And that was the main reason. The first things I moved were my Corvettes because I didn't want them to get tore up.
When was the first time, Mr. Hetty, that you had contacted Mr. Trauber?
He never smoked.
Yeah, I've never spoke to this Mr. Trauber. Now, there was one when I hand-delivered in the business on October the 16th, and I asked if, let's see, if he's Mr. Trauber, and he told me he was. Let's see, he advised Wade Wade Trauber was the one that takes care of the business, so.
My father.
Jack Trauber was the registered agent there with the Kentucky Secretary of State website.
I think my point is, how long have we been addressing this? And it looks to me like, when was the last time you inspected this? I was looking through here.
Last time was last week,
15th?
the 15th, to see if it's moved, and actually some of these, that's one of the January the 15th. That one's still there, but on some of the early photos, it was probably 2, maybe vehicles behind that one. And still I'm parked right beside, there's a red Blazer and a green Blazer. Yeah, right here. That was January the 15th. But it's still those vehicles back through there were still present.
Now, the white Dodge runs. It was licensed and insured up until a few months ago. That was what my son drove, and he bought him a Mercedes.
Is,
So,
in this particular photo, is that a school bus, the yellow vehicle?
ma'am.
Is that used on a regular basis during the school year?
No, it's not. It's a school bus that I bought from Sumner County School System in Tennessee, and I was going to make I want to get into a barbecue business. Everybody talks about how good my barbecue is, and like I said, I've got 8 kids. We kind of need to broaden out and start getting them into something else, and so I was going to convert it. I mean, it runs. I mean, everything that's there was parked there.
I want to, go ahead.
I'll say since 2011, the city has received 21 complaints reference this
I think that,
business.
in my opinion, based on what I've seen, I think that this can be cleaned up, but I'm going to make a motion. I want to go ahead and make a motion that we uphold the citation and fine of $100.
I'll second that.
Deere, Simpson. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Dearbone, Eggleton,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I got a fine?
100, yes, sir. You can get with her and she'll address that. We feel like you can get that cleaned up pretty quick.
Okay, well, I was just trying to comply. Like I said, here's a whole stack of where I've come, and here's the very first one when Teddy Webb come out, and I started every vehicle for him.
Sure.
That's why it has failed for like 4 times, because he was coming.
Sir, we're here to help you, but the cost involved in doing business, there's a cost involved for us to do business also, so.
All right, well, thank you
She'll get
for
with
your
you and
time.
she'll take care of that.
All righty.
Thank you. Okay, case number 2, 2019-3454, citation 2019-16854, 1586 River Street. Respondent, Tony Jones. Officer, James Hetty. Mr. Hetty.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is Mr. Jones here?
Yes, sir. I do see him in the back. On this property, let's see, I received that complaint November the 13th of 2018. There's a few slides reference to the property, but it's actually zoned highway business on that, and some of the issues with that is actually the parking surface, but residents as a RV and campers. And for highway business, outdoor storage is the issue there for storage of RVs and travel trailers they're not supplies or equipment that are directly related to or that will serve the principal purpose of that property. Therefore, it's not permitted outdoor storage in the highway business zone. And the other issue out there was accessory buildings not being fixed to the proper foundations there for, i.e. the travel trailers and the RVs. So they've fallen under a couple of different things here. But from November 13th of 2018, I had the complaint, went out, and on my first inspections, there are about five different RVs that were out there. Served 2 different notice of violations. One of them was November the 26th. The second was on March the 22nd of 2019. First citation was May the 2nd. And the second citation was July the 12th. And still, there hadn't been any improvements. Third citation, September the 12th, 2019. After the 3 citations, it's still outdoor storage and the RVs and travel trailers. And as you see, on January the 15th was the last time I was out to document, and it's still okay.
Any questions for Mr. Hetty? This has been going on since November 18,
Yes, sir, 2018.
2018, so basically 14 months.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is Mr. Jones here? Mr. Jones? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Well, upon looking at this stuff, I have to say, first of all, that this has been very enlightening, because I've asked him 8 or 9 times, what is it specifically that you want me to do? I have never got an answer, never one time. The answers that I have gotten, he said, move them on to concrete, because something about the paving surfaces. I was like, this is not a commercial building. This is mine. I own it. There's not been a business here since 2010. It has been this empty lot. Everything on that lot is mine. They are not people's campers randomly parked there. They are my campers that are parked there. He mentioned specifically some trailers that I had parked in the grass, which I did move. They are gone. I actually told him that they were for sale, and he said that was fine. I noticed conveniently he took no pictures of that in the second series. The first series, he's got those parked there to make it look like kind of a lot of stuff. And there was a lot of stuff there, I'll admit it. I mean, I did have a lot of stuff there. I've got pictures of the lot, pictures of the lot. It is not what you're seeing there. This is a picture of the lot from the road, which none of that is there. That is the entire lot. Here's another picture from the side of it, from the road.
Or why don't you give those to Counselor, and then we'll look at those while you continue.
Okay, just want to kind of explain them to you a little bit. Those are the two that are from the road. He then came back another time swearing to me that somebody lived in the campers. Somebody lives in them. Somebody lives in them. I have pictures of all of the insides of all of the campers, which this is the one that he was most insistent on, which I didn't see it really in any of the pictures. That is the inside of that one that somebody lived in. He was particularly, there was a girl that ran into some trouble and asked, could she stay in the camper? I told her, you're more than welcome for a few days to get something together. She's left. She was there for a few days. I asked her to leave. She stayed about 8 or 10 days. And I told her, well, your few days is up. You got to go. Then at the end of that 10 days, she called James. And this is that camper. This is the inside of that camper that she was in. I have an aerial photo of the lot. This, he says that it's all, everything's parked on the grass, which is also not true. This is a picture of the area that it's parked on. Yes, there is some grass coming through that, but it is clearly gravel and concrete. Here's the other truck that he said was on. And you can see very clearly it has grown up around the tires, but it is definitely a paved surface. Like, I don't know why he will not just give me a straight answer. He asked me to move them onto the concrete, which I did. I took everything there and moved it onto the concrete pad. He said something about those two big buff trailers that were parked in the grass. I have sold both of those trailers. They are no longer on the property. He said something about this building here. It is also not on the property, which I noticed he didn't take a picture of that on his reinspection. This one is also not on the property anymore. It's been taken down and removed. He said something about this building not being properly anchored, which I told him that that building was for sale, as well as all of the other buildings that are on the property. This building is also sold and not on the property anymore. But that wasn't in the pictures either. This is a picture of the day that he came, everything that was on the lot the day he came. The ones with the X the little lines through them are things that have been removed, sold and removed from the property, or just removed from the property. The thing is that stuff, I use it for storage. I have a lot of stuff. I used to have a mobile business that we ended up having to take a lot of items and equipment. We would set up sound and lighting for concerts, which takes a lot of people. So there would be between 8 to 12 people that would go to build stages and set up light systems, stuff like that. So we needed campers and trailers to do that with. So this is all left over from that business, which closed in 2000 and I believe 16. So none of these have been operable. These are random pictures of the other trailers. I noticed he had a picture of our cleaning lady in one of them. One time he came back the day after, as I was parking one of the trailers that he swore was permanently affixed as residence. I was parking it when he pulled up. And so was I yeah, I was in the camper. Of course I was. I just parked it. And I was locking down everything that's loose inside the camper. These are things that I still use. I still take my kids out with it. I still, me and my friends still use them. I mean, they are not for commercial use. The lot has not been in commercial use since like 2002, I believe, when the cab company burnt down. It has not been used since then. Now, yes, my friends, if they need to replace a tire, I have a lift in the garage down there. So they pull their car in and they'll do that. They work on their own stuff or maybe even their friend's stuff. Several people come in and out. The first time that I got a citation, I specifically told Mr. Hayden, now I know he's got a lot of stuff that he does, and for him to try to remember my schedule, I understand might be a little bit of a stretch. I specifically told him I was leaving for Puerto Rico for my cancer treatments, and I would not be back until whatever the date was. He came the day after I left for Puerto Rico, issued the citation. I never got it. By the time I got back, it was too late. The hearing was done. It was all over. The second time, we joked about it, standing there in on my lot. I said, now look, you got me the first time. I said, but I am leaving on this date, so try not to deliver anything then. 2 days after I left, he brought the second one and handed it to that man who has nothing to do with the lot. He just happened to be standing down there, handed it to him, and told him to give it to me. We'll just give him that. Well, didn't get that one either. I missed the second date. The third date, he didn't know I was gone. I didn't tell him I was gone, but I was gone. But I happened to come back the day, or no, I came back the day he brought it. I had just walked in. I was feeding and watering the animals, and he knocked on the camper, one of the camper doors, and I happened to be in the camper, and I walked out the door, and he handed me the paper. So that is the only one that I actually got from him. And
when was that, sir?
it was the last one he gave me.
Which was?
Maybe it was at the end of the year, September or October.
Past September.
Yes. It was at the end of the year. That's the only one I got from him. But I did have to leave after that. I left and I came back. My flight came in at 1:14. I came straight to, I couldn't find the paper for where to go. I called down to the city building. They gave me the wrong address. They gave me an address over on, I believe it was State Street. They told me to go to State Street, second floor. I went over there. I walked through the building. It was closed. Somebody just forgot to lock the door. And I just walked all the way through the building. Nobody was there. I turned around and left. I started calling around. I called the police department. I called the sheriff's department. I even called the fire department to find out where I was supposed to go. And I'm sure that you all remember that. That was the very last one that I walked in, I guess just minutes after you got done. And, but I was sitting downstairs. I didn't know that there was a third floor here. I didn't know where I had to be. I was sitting downstairs, and the woman just happened to come ask me what I was there for. And she said, oh, that's on the third floor. And by the time I got up here, everybody was leaving. So I realized I may have acted out. I didn't mean to. I was just very frustrated. I had been walking around. I parked my car over by the new courthouse and was walking around trying to find the place. But I was looking through the paper that is the hearing process paper. And I see here that he is supposed to notify me. Like, he never did notify me. I never got a letter anywhere. No certified anythings. I heard this guy say that he got a certified letter. I never did. Never got any letter. I didn't get findings of fact, which I see down here is each board will submit in writing a format called the findings of fact, and a copy will be furnished to the person named in the citation. I have never gotten one of those. I did, however, get a bill. And my math is bad. I haven't been in school for a very long time. I don't know if this was just maybe a clerical error, but I have been charged 90 days late on this bill that I never received. I never got a copy of this. I've been charged 90 days late on the 29th of September, when the fine was issued only 38 days before that, but it's showing me 90 days late for paying it. It shows one that could potentially be 90 days late if they turn it in the day of the date on here, so 6/30/19.
How much was that fine?
My first fine was $400, the one that I was completely unaware of. He came back with a second one that said $800. And the third one, the only one that I ever knew existed, was the $1,200 one. The third one, and I was like, what is this $1,200? It says clearly at the top of the page, $100 fine. I don't have the paper with me that he brought me. I gave it to my attorney. My attorney said, just go talk to him. You don't need me. Just go tell him what's going on. Let them do it. I don't have a problem with James, but I have asked him specifically, James, I don't know what this means. I have brain cancer. In 6 months, I'm not even going to be here. I had the lot sold. He sold it to, I don't remember his name. He owns the junkyard on the corner there on River Street.
There been a transference of deed yet?
No, I can't transfer the deed because he's got a lien on it. I can't sell it. So I am completely stuck. I can't do anything with the lot to make him happy. I've moved everything where he said. He said brick pavers. I got brick pavers. We had guys out there jacking up campers and putting brick pavers under them while they're sitting on gravel. So I didn't understand that, but I mean, if it's something that he wants, if you look at those pictures, you cannot see that from the road. You can't. It's all underground. You have to drive onto the lot, around a corner, and down a bank before the first one becomes visible. So the only way he would have known about it was because that girl called. Because they drove by and took pictures several times. I have people call and ask, where's this place at? I don't see it.
Let me take a break here. Mr. Hetty, if you don't mind, what does this gentleman have to do to get this cleaned up?
Yes, sir. It's in black and white in the notice of violations, but I'll go over them here. The first notice of violation was conform to the zoning ordinances, cease residing in the RVs. All areas used to park shall be paved or similar permeable paving material, and remove vehicles from parked on paved surfaces. Not parked on paved surfaces, I'm sorry. That was the first notice of violation that was given in November.
Okay.
The second notice of violation was in March, and it was for the corrections, the same as this, was remove all travel trailers and RVs from the property and relocate them to zone locations for the storage of RVs and travel trailers, or relocate them to designated RV park, or apply for and seek approval of zone change to light industrial to allow outdoor storage of travel trailers and RVs as outlined in section 5.2.4.g of the zoning ordinance. Section 5.2.4g states that any self-service storage facility with an outdoor storage component, boats, trailers, RVs, etc., must be located in the light industrial or heavy industrial zone. So those are both the corrections on those notice of violations, and that would get him into compliance if he either removed the trailers or rezoned the property there.
Mr. Jones, do you understand exactly what he said at this point in time?
Yes, well, like I said, I didn't get those.
Do you understand what he just said has to be done?
Yes, I understand what what he just read, but the one I got said like Article 1491, had like,
I
yeah,
understand.
crazy stuff.
We're
on it.
just trying to we're trying to help get this thing cleaned up, so.
But the thing that's confusing me is that he keeps saying business, business, business. There is no business there. There has not been a business there since the cab company closed. Not a single business. There's been nothing run there since the cab company closed. So I don't understand why he's trying to force me to commit to business guidelines when it's just my stuff. They made me put up a fence several years ago, which I never understood. I was like, this thing been empty for 15 years with no fence. Why do I have to put a fence up? But I put the fence up. You know, I'm not the non-compliant guy. I don't know if you remember the last time I was here. It's been several years, but you just broke it down for me. So this is what they want. I was like, I'll do it today. I just don't, I can't. There have been probably 60 break-ins on those campers.
Let me ask you this. Think you can comply with his request?
I don't know if he wants me to move all of those campers somewhere. I don't know how I will comply with that one. I have them all for sale. I'm just waiting for someone to say, okay, I want that camper, and I'll take it and I'll leave. I've sold 5 of them. There's 5 of them gone, but he didn't mention that I really am trying to do this. I want to live in Puerto Rico. We want to go.
What's the name of your business? What's the name of your business?
I don't currently have one.
You don't?
No, we shut the business down in 2016, I believe.
What's that property zone?
Highway business.
Highway business. How much land is involved? Couple acres or
It's 1.88, I think.
do what?
1.88 acres.
And for the Warren County PVA and the GIS websites, I've got 1 acre down in my records.
That would be the front of the top part of the lot. The top part of the lot is 1 acre. And if that's what he's saying, there is nothing up there that is out of any kind of conformity. I mean, everything up there is perfect.
You did say the property was for sale.
Yes.
Is it listed with a realtor?
No, because I can't remember his name now. He owns the parish. He made me an offer on it, a cash offer. I've never listed it. I didn't have to. He made me an offer on it before
How are you going to sell it if you don't have it listed?
because he's already made me an offer, which I accepted. I told him that I would sell it for that. But then when I went to do the searches on it, I could not sell it because it has liens on it from the city.
How long has this been going on?
November the 13th, 2018 is when I received the complaint, and my first inspection was November the 14th of 2018.
Could I go back to the most recent photograph that has been taken? So you circulated some photos that I guess you took that showed no vehicles. It showed some buildings.
Right.
There were green leaves on the trees. So obviously it was taken sometime prior to...
Right around the last hearing. Right around the time of the last hearing is when I was actually going to bring them to the hearing, but I didn't make it in time. It was like I was a little bit late and everybody was already done.
So where were you standing when you took those photos that showed no vehicles and...
I was standing on the sidewalk looking on the lot. One of them was from the corner of the Mayfair Motel, one of them was from directly in front of the lot, and one of them was from the other corner. I took them from 3 angles at the front of the lot.
So the photos that show all of the vehicles,
If you
And trailers,
If you'll back that up, I think 2 pictures, maybe 3. That's, okay, back it up just 1 right there. You see his rearview mirror right there? He has just passed the threshold of that 1 acre point and is heading down into the .78 acre part. From the road, everything is level and you can't see any of that. You have to actually drive down there to see it. So he is on his way down the ramp. You can see where whatever that thing is called, the concrete is there, how it's running at an angle. It is that grade all the way down to the bottom where you can start to see all the stuff that's downstairs.
well, there was one photograph, you mentioned Mayfair Hotel.
Right, one is from the corner of the Mayfair Motel, corner of their lot, from the sidewalk.
So, tenants, some person staying at that motel would see this?
Only if they were in and I don't think they could, because they're all boarded up along the back of that wall. There's no windows on that side of that wall.
Back up, I think I saw a portion of the motel in one of the photos. Is that?
That is the hotel. All those windows are boarded up along there.
And people stay there?
Oh, I don't know. I don't.
Maybe it is,
Yeah, it is an
operable.
operating
It is
hotel,
operating.
yes.
Okay. Any more discussion?
When do you plan to go to Puerto Rico?
As soon as possible. I told her I'd like to be gone in 60 days a month ago, but we've been waiting, waiting on to finish up all this stuff.
Man who made you the offer, is he gonna take all the trailers and sell them? Is that what the deal is, or just a property?
No, that is, I believe it's Vincent Auction Group. He just sent me a message on my way here. Milton Vincent from Vincent Auctions.
What now?
Milton Vincent from Vincent Auctions. He's the one that's handling, distributing getting rid of all the stuff, which we pretty much had a fire sale the last few weeks. I've been in town the whole time. I was not going to miss this under any circumstances. I've canceled 2 appointments to make sure I made it here today.
What is the per day fine now?
1,200 and
Hold on one second, let me figure it up for you. $4,900.
What now?
$4,900.
49, $5,000?
definitely didn't hear that one. Did not get a copy of that at all.
What now?
Oh, that's the
I
one you
definitely
appealed.
didn't get a copy of that
That's the
one.
one you appealed, so yeah, you did get a copy of that one. It said $100 on it, but it
Said
said.
$100.
Right, but it was a per day fine citation. It said that on there.
I guess my question, he just said it himself. The first time I came, this is what was wrong. I did that. Then he come back with another one, but gave me the fine like I didn't do anything, with different things on there. And the third one, was telling if it was the same or not, I don't know. But it kept changing, and no matter what I did, it wasn't enough or it wasn't right.
Sir, I don't think any one of the members up here on this board want to hit you with a per-day fine. I believe that with all my
And
heart.
I am with you that I don't want that either. So,
But I can assure you, you're already fined $4,900, and it's not going to go down. It's going to continue to go up till this gets resolved. That's why I asked just a little bit ago, Mr. Jones, do you understand exactly what we're talking about right here.
So I do understand what we're talking about right now, but
And it's got to be cleaned up.
I still don't understand what, he said to move the stuff onto paved surfaces, which I have done. He said to remove the certain items, the trailers and the buildings that were not mounted to the ground, which I have done. He said to move all of the things onto a suitable paved surface, which I looked up in the city of Bowling Green, gravel is a suitable paved surface. So I guess I'm just not explaining it correctly, but the things that he's telling me to do are done, except for take all your stuff, move it off of your lot that you paid for, and put it somewhere else. Because this is a business, but it's not a business. So I don't that's the part that I'm having a problem with. It's not a business. It's not, it hasn't been a business for several years, but he's treating me like I'm running a business and I have all these infractions when it's just my personal stuff.
Understand, but it's still zoned as a business, and that's what Mr. Hetty has to go by.
If you buy and sell things, what do you call it?
If I what?
If you buy something, several things, same product, same item, vehicles or motorhomes, what do you call it? And then-
Bought the one motorhome in 1987. I bought that one in 2004. I bought one of them in 1996. I mean, this is not,
What'd you use the first one for that you bought? What'd you use it for?
the very first one I bought I used to camp in. The second one that I bought, I used for, the second actual motorhome that I bought, I used to tow my girlfriend's vending trailer. And then we ended up buying more of them that we used for setting up the stage, concert, sound, lights, all that stuff, which all of that is gone. Every one of the commercial ones are gone. I have one commercial truck left that was from that business. You can see the tail end of it right there in front of that motorhome. That's the only thing left from that. I have sold or given away everything else to try to make this right. I even moved my boat.
I'm not trying to confuse the issue, but
I'm not,
I'm really not. And we would just like to get it cleaned up. We want to help if we can, but it's tax time. How in the world do you do taxes?
I have not,
It's not my business, of course. I don't really need an answer to that, but
since
if
my,
it's not a business, you buy and sell.
oh, no, this is not buy and sell stuff. The stuff that's left on there is not buy and sell. It's just stuff that I have got over the years.
Okay.
I don't buy and sell campers or anything anymore. I've just been trying to sell off what was there just to get it off the lot. I mean, I agree with him. There was too much stuff there. There still is too much stuff there. I'm trying to get it all off the lot. But like I said, some days I can't go at all. I try to, but I mean, some days the medication isn't enough. I do not possess the physical strength anymore to do what he's asking me to do. I cannot walk out there and hook any of them trailers up to my camper by myself. Can't do it. I had to stop on the second floor and rest to come up here.
How many men you have working for you, or women have working for you?
I haven't had a business since 2016.
Do what now?
I haven't had a business since 2016.
How many people do you have working for you now, men or women?
None. I don't
None.
have I have not worked at all since March of last year.
That's working for you to move the trailers and mow grass and stuff like that in your property?
I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't have anyone to do that. My nephew has just come back in town. He was in Denver, and he's just come back.
Mr. Hetty, didn't you say that that he could rezone it a different way, and would that satisfy the,
Yes, sir. It's not zoned a designated RV park, but he could apply for and seek approval for a zone change to light industrial to allow outdoor storage of travel trailers and RVs as outlined in this section 5.2.4.g of the zoning ordinance, which it states, any self-service storage facility with an outdoor storage component, in parentheses, boats, trailers, RVs, etc., must be located in the light industrial or heavy industrial zone. So in his highway business, the way it's zoned right now, is prohibited what he's doing there. So he could apply for and seek approval for a zone change, yes.
How long does that take?
There's about a 2-week public notice is in the 60 to 90 day process. Yes.
We didn't hear that.
60 to 90 days?
60 to 90-day process, after making the application, and then there's advertisement, public hearing, goes to the planning commission, then 2 readings at the city commission.
So at $100 a day, that's 60 times 100. It's not much of a solution, is it?
No, and then the cost of however much it's gonna be to actually do the rezoning, because there's a fee that goes along with that, so.
I don't have any money. I've spent everything that I have trying to stay alive.
Well, I believe that at this point in time, we can do one of two things. We can put this off for another 30 days. These fines are gonna have to be paid, or that lien is gonna, we can get it to the city, and they can, are we to the point where we can demo that lot?
There's nothing to demo.
Well, it'd be moving
Right.
all that stuff, out, would be what it would be.
Well, this is planning and zoning. They don't have the funds to do that kind of work anyway. And the liens would just be in place for whenever they could get paid. Yeah, they're just,
Understand?
yeah, there's not really, I don't know that there's
Yeah,
much.
Just one
wiggle room.
clarification, we don't get any of the fees or fines or anything. We don't get that. Compliance is always our first and best option. Any fees or fines collected goes back in the city general fund. It does not go to the planning commission.
So the 4,950, that's set in concrete. Now, wait a minute, she said, well, wait a minute.
It could be negotiated, but it's a lien on the property at this time.
This is the citation he's asking
Oh,
about.
okay.
That's not what's liened on the property currently. That's the citation that he is currently appealed. What's currently owed on the property is $2,454. So that's what is on the property outstanding right now that's liened on the property.
Goes 48, what?
That's the
49.50.
citation that he has appealed that's in front of you tonight. So it's technically, it's on hold. He doesn't owe that right now until you all make a motion and vote on that. If you vote to uphold everything.
So the $2,454, that's set in concrete. That cannot be negotiated.
Generally, the statement is we negotiated those in the past, the city has, yes.
Yes.
We have not, because we don't have that authority.
But Mr. Jones has already said he has no money. So,
And the only thing I can tell you about the liens is when the property's sold, that's not keeping him from selling it, because they just get paid off when it's sold.
It's kind of a catch-22 situation.
Mr. Deere, the paper that I have, when he went to buy the liens to pay them off, or to get the title for the building, they gave him a paper that it specifically says it cannot be sold or anything else while that is in place. It cannot be sold.
Well, what you could do is you can renegotiate the price of your property
And just have
and
him,
take that off. He can pay that lien. I mean, there's
Right.
there's different ways you can skin that rabbit.
right.
And so that's, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you that you're going to have to kind of help. You're going to have to figure this thing out, because these dollars are adding up. And I'm telling you, I hate this for you. I personally hate this for you. But I also have a job to do with the city of Bowling Green that we have to address also. And that's where I'm kind of struggling with this. I wish that we could come up with a solution that would fit everyone at this point in time. And I don't know what that is. I really don't know what that is. Counselor, do you have any suggestions?
A suggestion I would make it, at least at this point, the $4,900 has not attached yet, he's appealed that. You could give him 30 days to see if he could make some arrangements. Parrish, always takes me a while to understand where places are. To me, this is Old Louisville Road. It is now River Road. I didn't know that till I kind of got everything in perspective. Parrish Auto is right down the road from it, which is a logical buyer to me. I would suggest you give him 30 days and see if he can do a quick turn with them. That's the quickest solution I see. It's more than a Band-Aid, and I think that's an option.
Okay, I'll make that motion, give you 30 days. See if you could get with somebody, whoever, and arrange a sale. And I think your suggestion of whoever the buyer is to front end the $2,454. That would release it to be sold. Otherwise, you're going to accrue additional $100 a day fines for this.
And about the other ones, I never did get a finding of fact on any of them. Any of the three, I didn't get one.
Okay, that's actually gonna be 28 days, Jack, just to let you know that. And to that, your finding of fact, comment, you only get a finding of fact when you have come to the board like you are tonight, and your citation and your fees have either been upheld or dismissed, whichever it is. When that's been determined, that's when you would get the finding of fact, okay? Like for tonight's meeting, you're talking about in that brochure I gave you, right? You got that? That's, okay, that's from the Code Enforcement Board's orders only, not from planning and zoning's information, okay? That's just from the Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board's decisions.
But I never even got notice of them.
You never got the letters that I sent you to appear?
I mean, you handed me I've gotten two from you specifically.
Right.
One of them I missed by minutes, and then this is
Yeah.
the second one. But I didn't
Right.
get the first two at all.
Right, the actual letters, I don't know why you didn't get the letters, but that's why I also handed you those brochures. That's considered your notice to appear. But the finding of fact is separate. That's completely different. That's what you'll get after they make a decision on this citation. You'll get that when everything has been decided on. That's an explanation of what's happened through these proceedings.
We've got a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have another question, if I may. Where do you live now?
I live in Lafayette, Tennessee.
Do what?
Lafayette, Tennessee.
Do we have that complete address? We
No.
need to get that. Telephone number where we can reach you? Are you going to Puerto Rico in the next 30 days?
I was supposed to go, I was supposed to go for a treatment this week, but I didn't go. I stayed here.
So you will be here for the next 30 days or so?
I have to go get the treatment, but I can come right back. I can just go and then come back.
Tony, can you just get
I'm
with
sorry,
me
I'm
right
confused.
after and give me your other address? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just have your Main Street address.
My,
You can just do it after.
my ex-wife still lives there.
Okay, well, just give me the other one too. I'll mail it to both, okay? And Thomas you've made the motion for February 25th at 28 days. And Dearbone seconded that. Dear?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Dearbone?
Yes.
Eggleton?
Yes.
Thomas?
Thank you, sir. Okay, case 3. Case 2020-44, citation 2020-357, 1054 Old Barren River Road, owner M.E. Holdings, LLC, respondent Malcolm Cherry, officer Nick Lawhon. Officer Lawhon. You've already been sworn in.
What's that?
Said you've already been sworn in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Fairly simple here. We noticed in November of 2019 that there was a fill site going on Old Barren River Road. Initially noticed that there was no erosion prevention or sediment control as is required by the city stormwater ordinance. And we started to look into the fill site, found there was no permit on file for site work. Sent a letter in November, I believe, dated November 15th, requiring, or wasn't a citation, it was just on city letterhead from Public Works, requesting a site work permit and be submitted and a erosion control BMPs be established on site immediately. Initially, we gave the, let's see if I remember right, 14 days of the date of the letter, and we got contact from a Dan Cheney, who was a contractor for Mr. Cherry, in early December, extended that requirement for the permit to December 6th per an email, and then pretty much nothing happened that we saw until January 3rd. There was still no permit application in. There were still no EPSC controls in as of January 3rd of this year. And at that time, we issued, this is a box culvert under Old Barren River Road that had been silted in that by water flowing off of Mr. Cherry's property. We issued a citation at that time, 2 counts of violating the city stormwater ordinance, $1,000 each. As of the 15th, the permit was attempted to be submitted. They submitted wrong address. That was rectified. As of today, it is in and processing, and I drove by today. The EPSC controls have been established, and there's been a lot of work done. Looks like the culvert's been cleaned out. And that's where we stand on it as of today.
So on this, it says the last information that we have, other than what you just shared, was that Mr. Cheney did reach out to the ECD staff via email with a plot plan, and you're saying that right now they are addressing that information.
Sir, that came in, the permit officially got into the building division system today, this afternoon, after I had sent all the information to Tabitha.
Very good.
Council, I need to stay out of this one because I work very closely with Mr. Cherry and some other projects, so if that's permissible.
That's permissible, we have.
Mr. Cherry?
I think
So
everybody knows him, that's the problem.
You can get in there, Delaney, it don't matter.
Mr. Cherry, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
It's pretty much just like Mr. Lawhan had said. We got caught with some bad weather, and I contracted with Dan Cheney to build the silt fence, and I think he's using J.C. Brewer to finish the grade on that nasty-looking ditch there and everything. And we have already made some improvements, and we have cleaned the silt, and we have cleaned the effluent side of the conduit also, because there was some trees growing in it. That water reverts over onto Larkin Ritter's land, and from there it flows on down to the river. And it's looking pretty good and everything, but we've got more to go and everything, and we're not denying that. Here's a little picture I'll give you. That's kind of what that ditch looks like now. It's got some riprap in it, and it's got some
straw netting on it, and looks a lot better. The water's flowing really well, and the conduit's been cleaned, and this all came about because I pulled all the bushes off of that hillside trying to get it where I could mow it, and before I could get everything smoothed out, the rains hit us and all that. But we're taking all the water from BGMU's new building. We're taking all the water from PJ Murphy's area, and it all comes straight to that ditch and goes under the conduit, and goes under the road in the conduit. And we're handling it as well as you can possibly handle it. Before we started doing anything on that lot, that road would go underwater, and you had to avoid it. I mean, the water would actually go over the street, and they'd have to put out signs and everything. Since I've owned the property, we've stopped that. And so all I'm asking is a waiver of this fine until we get finished or whatever. And I don't know, like Mr. Lawhan said, there is a contract in place, and they're supposed to move in there as soon as they can. That the stone, the riprap and stuff that I put in the ditch, and I cleaned the city's ditches on both sides of the road at my own expense. And I put all this riprap in there and everything so that the silt would not go under the road. But we still have more. We have more to do. We're gonna peel the straw back, and we're gonna put the silt fence in all the way around, about 400 feet there, and then cut a nice taper on the front of that lot that we can mow, and it'll look good. We've done nothing since we've owned the property except improve it, and it's an ongoing process. But that's all I'm asking for, is the fine to be waived on me, and let me continue on. I've already spent much more than that, and I've got much more to spend on it.
Okay. Questions, discussion?
Jerry, how long do you think it might take to get all the work done?
I've told the contractor, I've told the licensed silt fence installer to move on it as quick as he can. Of course, it's mud right now, and any construction site is nasty and muddy. I'm hoping it dries up right away, and I've already paid that fee, and then like I said, J.C. Brewer's going to come in there with their construction equipment, excavators, and cut a nice slope back away from the ditch, and it'll all look good when it's done, and we'll be able to keep it mowed and that kind of thing after that time. But how long will it take? When the weather lets us. I would hope that we'd be done with it in 60, 90 days, something like that. I mean, I'm just as anxious to get it done as anybody else is.
I see that this was started in November, which is a bad time of the year to have to start doing work like this. And knowing that I know Mr. Cherry, I trust that this will get done, and we have seen that work is being done. I'd like to see the finished product, since there is a citation on the property. So I'm going to make a motion to uphold the citation and dismiss the fine. But I'd like to see this back in April. I'd like to see this back in 60 days, or would that be 90 days, to see if this work's completed. Can you get it completed in 90 days?
I hope so. I don't see why not. when he cuts the banks back and makes some a gentle taper going down to that ditch, he intends to use that material to fill in that low spot that's there, and it'll be a nice gentle slope, kind of a little bit higher than what you see on the BGMU property there, and everything. So that's our goal, is to have it look like that over there, and we have mowing services that come by and mow it and everything, but they can't mow that kind of stuff.
Mr. Broderick, does this have to be definitive action? Okay.
Get your attention.
Yes.
Thing to do with
Yeah, I get
ask
that.
you to
now.
withdraw that motion.
Thank you. I'd like to amend the motion that we table this citation and fine till the April meeting.
Second?
Deere, Eggleton. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson. Dearbone. Eggleton.
Yes.
Thomas.
Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, case number 4.
Sir, you want these pictures back? I don't think you need them. Well, that way you got the file complete. Thank you.
Case number 4, 2019-8739, citation number 2019-16328.4. This is 1628 Sunrise Drive. Owner Jerry and Brenda Smith, respondent Tina Smith Corin, Officer Mo Hilliard, and I, like Mr. Simpson, will need to abstain from this one. So, Vice Chair, I'll let you deal with this one.
This case is the result of a roaming inspection conducted on November 21st of 2019. During the inspection, the following violations were noted: inoperable motor vehicles, accumulation of construction and demolition debris, exterior use or storage of indoor furniture, tires stored outdoors, accumulation of rubbish and garbage on the property, and scattering garbage. So then NOV was sent to the PVA listed owner address on that date with a compliance reinspection date of 12/2. A reinspection was done on 12/2. I'm sorry, it was done on 12/3. And it appeared some advances had been made in that there was less cars in parking on the gravel or off the gravel. So the inspection was failed and moved a week forward to allow extra time to be brought into compliance. This is inoperable vehicles, tires, trash, rubbish. Again, inoperable vehicles, tires, trash, rubbish. This is along the back of the house there. On 12/11, I re-inspected, but there was a small dog rather aggressively barking at me, so I know that the tenant is in and out of the house quite a bit, so I just held off for a day. And the next day I went by, and he was at the property, and he came out in the yard. We, stood in front of, point at, to decide this has to go, this has to go. You need to do this, you need to do that, and the backyard is quite atrocious. So I took some pictures of that as well. Oh, this is the... So he claimed he hadn't got the it's at the NOV until the last couple of days. So I set the inspection forward 2 weeks. On 12/26, I re-inspected, did not find any improvement on the property, left a door hanger. On 12/31, I again re-inspected and found the property remained in violation with no positive change having been made. The citation was issued on that date and was posted on the property and was also sent first-class certified mail. The compliance date on the citation was 1/10/20. And while I was posting it, the tenant came out of the house. He was quite upset, telling me that there'd been a death in the family. And I said, all right, well, clean up the property, put in a appeal, clean up the property. On 1/10, I'll come back. If I can come back and show that it's done, then, hey, that's no harm, no foul. But as of today, are today pictures? This is the citation pictures. There is appliances, there's tires, there's all kinds of trash. There's inoperable vehicle, that has been inoperable vehicle since day one. This is the backyard area. So then, as of today, this is the condition of the backyard. Oh, this is the condition. Still, that same truck still has flat tires. There's a trailer in back with just a pile of stuff. There's no way it could roll down the road. The same thing, just loose trash, junk. I haven't seen any improvement. Also, this property has had 9 cases in the last 2 years for pretty much these same issues, all the same issues. And 4 of those have been neighbor complaints. Because a lot of times we can't tell what's going on in the backyard necessarily, but neighbors will complain about that. So this has been a really ongoing issue.
We have somebody representing the Smiths. All right, if you will raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? So help you God? And please state your name.
My name is Tina Smith-Coron.
All right, Miss Coran, if you would tell us your side of the case.
Okay. My parents currently own this property, but it's under a land lease. Robert Beck and his wife Jessica are the buyers of the property. This land lease has been going on for about 10 years. It's a 20-year lease to buy the house. I actually have a copy of the land lease if anyone needs to see it. But it does state in the land lease that the buyer is solely responsible for keeping up the property. So, Robert and his wife are supposed to be taking care of it. Every time that the citation has been issued, I know that my parents have contacted him to clean it up continuously.
Counselor, how does that work? Property, as between the two of them.
Who has the deed?
Responsible to them, as to us and the city, they're responsible to us, the deed title.
Legal owner.
My question would be, how does the property get to that state?
That's a good question because I've never seen the back of it. I've actually driven past it and seen the front, and there for a little while, they would clean it up. We would make a phone call, or my parents would, and they would clean up the property. That's the first that I have ever seen of the backyard, and I'm appalled. And I know that you had said that they had just moved some of it to the back. I have been told that at the owner's expense that some of those vehicles can be towed. If that's the case, then that's probably what's going to happen. It does need to. You're absolutely right.
Is there anything in the lease that refers to condition of the property?
Does. Yes, ma'am. Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Sure. Which Roman numeral are you referring to?
Basically 2 through 5.
Okay.
there's different parts.
Mr. Chairman, I will tell you that as between those parties, that's enforceable. As to us, it's still whoever the record title owner is.
How long have these people lived there?
9 years.
9 years?
How often do you say that anybody comes over to check on it, or is it just when they get the complaints?
Generally when they get the complaints, but I myself have driven by there because I still have a friend that lives across the road. I actually used to live in that house before I got married, and it looked nothing like that.
People have any type of regular contact with you guys at all, or
Do they make a monthly payment on the property?
is it through face-to-face? Is it just in deposit into the bank? Is there any type of?
It's generally, they just leave it in the mailbox.
Counselor, whose responsibility is it to clean up the backyard?
Responsibility.
Still the owner's responsibility at their expense.
The problem that they have now, what she has, the good news is she has a provision in her lease that she can collect that money from them. But that's between the two of them. And, that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, they've been safe in leasing this. This is a lease with an option to buy is basically what it is.
Basically, they're the fall guys for anything that the, okay.
So,
Or the way to say it, that's correct.
I turned the page where you had, and in section 6, it does make reference to the requirement of the buyer. The buyer shall not commit or permit waste and shall maintain the property in as good a condition as now exists, reasonable wear and tear accepted. Upon any failure to so maintain, the seller, at its option, may cause reasonable maintenance work to be performed at the cost of the buyer. Further, the buyer agrees to comply with and conform to all laws, ordinances, regulations, and restrictions which affect the property. And I haven't read the whole thing, but it almost seems like, they have violated the terms of this agreement and would be subject to eviction.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I understand that.
With that being said, does anybody have any other discussions?
May I say that whatever this determination is, like, as of tomorrow, I could just go give them they're past their date for compliance. Once again, it could just be a whole nother citation going through the same thing. I mean, and we've given him a lot of time, and he keeps acting like he's very pleasant to speak with.
Good front, isn't it?
Ms. Coron, seeing all of this, do you have a plan of action, what you think you may want to do? Do you want to look into possible eviction? Are you going to make them pay for it through their payments to you guys, or do you have a plan of action?
That's actually something that I'm going to need to talk to my parents about because they are the owners of the property. Currently, they are out of state. So that's why they asked me to be here. I do have a question, though. You were talking about them still being responsible, but since it's their personal property, since they are the owners, can they go on the personal property and remove those items?
Violated this, and that if they don't move it within a reasonable period of time, 72, 90, not an hour or a day, but with a reasonable period of time, then you can take, it's your property, you can take it at that point after you put them on notice of the same. I would probably encourage you to also put in there, if they don't, you're gonna evict them.
Would a
Parties are aware of
reasonable
it.
period be like 30 days?
That would be more than reasonable.
That would be more than reasonable.
That would be generous.
I think the only thing with that is that if they're evicted within 30 days, we can't evict them and then get all of that stuff out of there within 1 day.
And I'm gonna tell you, your process, very, if you chose to, actually, the lease, you'll have to go through the eviction process, and it's gonna take you maybe a little longer than 30 days.
I think this board would be cognizant of the actions that you're trying to take.
The whole idea is,
We in the table recommendation thing,
problem corrected, it's not, I mean, I think you're still faced with the situation of, if you don't force the owner to do it, they're, you know, the muscle's gone, so to speak.
I mean, we don't want this. I mean, the place looks awful. It didn't look like that when I lived there. And they have tried and tried and tried, and it's like stuff gets shifted and moved to the back, and they try to make it look better, but it's not, so.
people paying rent now? Are they paying the bill every month?
They are right now,
They are now?
but they are actually, well, they have been. They're a month behind.
I would say this, while we feel for you because of the fact that, you know, you're kind of holding the bag, with it have had 9 active cases in the last 2 years, it shouldn't have gotten to that point. It should have been on the responsibility of you, your parents as the owners, to have come in previously and said something, looked at it to where we're not even in this situation. So
They have.
yeah, well, I know, but I guess there needed to be a stronger reaction than where we're at now. So, I mean, that's just my personal thought on that. I mean, I appreciate what you're going through, but that should have been, we shouldn't have gotten to 9 in 2 years. That's just
I agree.
way out of whack, so. I have a motion.
I'll do one. That I'd like to uphold the citation and table the fine for now, for 2 weeks, to see if there's progress on getting all of that removed and cleaned up. You said no? What do you say? Okay.
It has to be one or the other. You have to either uphold, or you have to make a decision on both or none, more or less.
Table the motion for a month. If
Have
that's,
to,
Or you could table it.
yeah, I mean,
You could table it, but unfortunately, the only problem that you have with tabling, I mean, if you're sending.
She has no muscle then.
Yeah.
What she'll do is she'll write a letter, or her
she
parents
could
will write the letter
forward that
to
fee
the,
then
to the person's actually renting,
Right.
essentially renting the house, really, that's what they're doing.
right.
Telling them the fine's been upheld and also
is.
accumulated, and then that's gonna be their responsibility, part of what they'll also tell them in the letter. But ultimately, it's back to the owners who ultimately.
It's also, this also, to me, is a kind of a precept to have to move these people out.
Yes.
To eviction. It gives them notice that something's going on, and as a leasee, we're not gonna stand for this. So you're either gonna have to pay up, or we're gonna have to clean up and evict.
Okay,
So, Tina,
I'll change it. Uphold the citation and the fine.
Second.
Thomas, Dearbone, Deere,
Abstain.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Good luck. You can blame it on us.
Now, return it back to Chairperson Deere.
Chairperson.
Thanks, sir. Tina, you want that? case number 5. Case number 5, case 2019-6590, citation 019-12099.6. Property is 2540 Nashville Road. Owner Robert and Gloria Thomas. Respondent Gloria Thomas. Officer Brad Chargarowski.
This case was presented to the board at the November 2019 hearing, and the board voted to table a vote on this citation until today's meeting. The property has continued to generate citizen complaints since the November meeting. As of December 2nd, 3 building permits were paid and issued for existing storage buildings on the premises. As of January 9th, 2 additional no-fee permits were completed for the smaller storage and accessory buildings. The greenhouse was moved out of the front yard by January 1st, as agreed upon previously, to comply with the zoning requirements and overall code compliance. As of this writing, the property, as of today, the property is characterized by inoperable and unlicensed vehicles, improperly parked vehicles, outdoor storage of tires, rubbish, junk, debris, indoor furniture, etc. I will go through the slides here. As of today's current standing, it has been open 161 days and again continues to generate complaints from citizens. The first series of pictures here are individual pictures of the property as of today, and at the end I have some combined pictures of before and after, basically as the property stood the last time the board met and today. So as of today, you can see the front yard is mostly cleaned off with the exception of probably between 10 and 15 children's Power Wheels type vehicles and a few miscellaneous items in the front yard. But this is coming down Oak Grove Way. Again, there's numerous children's toys throughout the front yard and a stack of some roofing material, but nothing compared to what it looked like prior. There is some indoor furniture, rubbish and junk, and mowers and such between where the new greenhouse now is and the driveway. The RV has been moved to the backyard there, and as you'll see as we go through some of the pictures, there's still some accumulations of items along the shed, between the RV and the shed, and some tires, bags of trash and other items throughout the backyard. This is one of the storage buildings that's in the process of being constructed. There's the backyard as seen as from Oak Grove Way. Here's some before and after pictures. So this was November 1st, which is when the third citation was issued, and the front yard as of today. So as you can see, there has been much progress in that respect of moving the yard sale type items and other furniture and such from the front yard. This is roughly the same spot in the driveway that was brought before the board at the third citation back in November, and today is on the right hand side of that picture there. So again, quite a bit of difference. Unfortunately, there is still, again, that accumulation of furniture, junk mowers, and other such items, but there has even been improvement there.
There has not been improvement, or there has?
There has been some improvement in this area. If you see on the picture on the left, in front of that red mower, there were some tables and buckets and other items there between the house and that red lawnmower. Those have been mostly removed. There are still some junk lawnmowers there and furniture and tables, but there has been improvement. There, kind of on the opposite end of that, though, there has been an additional accumulation of some items in areas where there were not before. So I don't know if some of those things have just been moved around, but again, overall, the property is looking significantly better than it has since we started this case over the summer, but it's still in violation with a ways to go.
Is the RV in violation?
It is. It is not on an improved parking surface. and unless something's changed since our last meeting, it's not licensed. It is operable. They were able to drive it over from its previous location, but and I don't know if Mary has some update on whether or not it's licensed now, but as of our last meeting, it was not licensed, and it cannot be parked there either.
Hey, Gloria Thomas. Miss Thomas, would you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Affirm. Okay. Good evening. Everything he said, because of the bad weather we've been having, just like the guy that owns the property next to the electric company, you all can see how much rain there's been. And, you know, cold weather, windy weather. And that's why we're no further ahead than what we are right now. It's all due to bad weather. So when the weather decides to improve, we're going to do some more catching up. We're trying to work, my daughter's working as hard as she can to comply with everything. I can't help my daughter because, like I told you, I'm handicapped. I had a collision in 2017, and I can only handle the front yard. I can't handle the backyard as far as walking is concerned. So that's, my daughter is doing all this by herself. So, and I just appreciate it if you all give us to maybe April to comply with the rest of the stuff. And I like if there's anything else that has to do with leaves or anything, I can rake the front yard if that's what your all's concern is too. So, but other than that, I can't rake the backyard. But we're working hard on getting our place in order. But because of the bad weather and the rain and the wind, that's the reason we're behind.
Brad, I can see that obviously it has improved. I can see it is still not in compliance. With that being said, it doesn't look like it, you know, if they can get that back part cleaned out, then they've got, you think they would be in compliance at that point in time? The RV's out of compliance because it's not on an improved surface. And what about it's the picture of the RV next to the storage unit. Where it looks like they moved stuff from the front, there you go, stuff from someplace and stacked it up back there. If they move the RV and they get this cleaned up, do you think it would be in compliance? You may not be able to answer that without going back out there.
No, certainly I'd have to go back out there, and I'm happy to work with them because they are continuing to work on it. And there's no doubt that since November, it has vastly improved. No doubt about that. They have paid for the building permits. They've gotten all the permits that are required. They're working on building the accessory structures. I think a prediction would be that it is reasonable that once they work on finishing the construction of those additional accessory structures, that they would then have somewhere for some of these items to go. Once the RV is on an improved parking surface and tires stayed aired up and it stays in an operable condition, I think it is reasonable that it could be mostly in compliance. However, there is still a lot of weeding out of things and cleaning out of things that needs to be done, because all of the stuff that's still there, it doesn't look to me like it's like you can hide it all in the couple of buildings that they're looking at. But if it's properly stored and not in the manner that you see in the picture there, I think it would be adequate.
I'd like to add that, you know, I am in the process of trying to find a place to store.
Need to swear you in.
Okay.
Your name, please?
Mary Thomas, and I affirm to tell the truth. I'd like to add that, you know, I am the one doing the work, and as far as stuff being moved, I think I discussed this at the last meeting, that I'm also being evicted from my house of 27 years. And when you live in a place for 27 years, you accumulate a lot of stuff. And I had 30 days to get out of that place while I've been doing this work on Mom and Dad's place. So, I mean, I have been working myself to death. But the fact of the matter is that Brad and I had talked about it and discussed a plan to put pavers down to put the RV on. And that's one of the next steps for me is to move the RV. Of course, I will have to park it somewhere while I'm putting those pavers down. So we planned on parking it in the front yard, which is also on the grass. But while it's parked there, we will be putting the pavers down in the backyard to put it on. And we did get the building permits, and because of the weather and because I've been moving out of my house of 27 years while I'm doing all this work on Mom and Dad's property, yes, there's stuff being moved in and out and around, but that's so I can get it to where it goes and store it. And like Brad said, I got to build some more buildings in order to do that, and we got the building permits to do that. So again, that's part of the next step, is to get those buildings started and to finish the one we've got the building permit on to finish, and to get the pavers down for the RV, but and to finish storing the stuff there. But and I'm still trying to get out of the house I had 30 days to move out on. I'm past my 30 days, and I'm lucky that the man there has seen enough improvement there to work with me on that and give me another couple of weeks to finish getting that stuff out. So, and
Mary, let me ask you.
and
let
I
me
also
ask,
told
Let me
you
interrupt.
I
I
had
want
a
to
c-
ask you something. How long do you think it would take for you? Obviously, you're the one doing this. How long do you think it would take for you to get this in compliance, based on what Brad has shared with you that has to be done?
Well, the weather has been terrible, and I got pneumonia for a minute, and I also had a heart attack since I've seen you last, okay? So, and that's while I've been doing all this work. But I'm thinking, you know, Mom asked for till April. This is the end of January. I think April would be a good timeline for me, as long as the weather don't just turn nasty and stay that way. But and as far as the vehicle being licensed, if you remember, we discussed the fact that I was looking for that title. I have since found that title. So I am working on trying to get that taken care of. So, I mean, I'm doing everything I can possibly do. And I'm surprised I'm still here actually to do it. And so,
Mr. Deere,
Okay. Just a sec. Yes,
if I
Brad.
may be so bold as to just brainstorming, maybe a suggestion, that if the board wanted to,
oh, and we have paid on our last fine, you know, also, so.
board wanted to
I paid 100.
make a decision on the citation and fine, whether it's upholding the citation, whether or not to waive the fine. That would then turn action back over to staff. And maybe instead of continuing this as a board motion all the way until April when it's already been continued, then the board could instruct me to give the Thomases 60 days before another citation might be issued, and then it would come back in front of the board. That way, if it's in compliance, it does not have to come back in front of you. We would just handle it on the staff side of things, and I'd close the case once it's in compliance. And then that way we can continue to work together. Fees are being paid, permits are being issued, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. The main concern is the fact that it just continues to generate citizen complaints, but I think it's a process that, again, we're moving in the right direction for, and then that way it doesn't have to come back in front of you folks if it is taken care of in the next however many days you were to choose.
May I speak?
If that were the case, what would the fine be at that point if it were not in compliance?
Well, at that point, because 3 citations have already been issued, that would then turn into a per-day fine. So at that point, we would then issue a per-day fine citation. So if the board were to say, well, Brad, continue to work with them for 60 days. If in 60 days not in compliance, issue that citation, that would be a per-day fine citation that they would then have to appeal, and that would still come in front of the board like on any other citation, that then, they would, yeah.
How much is left
I want
on
to
the
change
fine?
it to 90 days.
How much is left on the fine?
Because of weather. That's the only reason I'm saying it,
Ma'am,
because weather.
Ma'am, I have a question here, please.
Not including the citation that's in front of you tonight, currently that's owed is $738.
How much, please?
$738
Remaining.
remaining, not including the 404 that's in front of you tonight.
Oh, that's wrong.
No.
That's not what we Oh, 400 in the beginning, and I've been paying on the
It was
400.
300,
And
and we,
then when we was here the last time with y'all, you had another $300 fine on us, and you said you was gonna hold that off until this meeting.
I'll check one more time.
no, it's 300 to begin with, and then the 400 one is the one on
Maybe
appeal.
I accidentally included the 404.
Yeah,
Hold on a
the
second.
400 is the one on appeal currently.
Right, maybe I accidentally included that. Okay, let me calculate it again.
And I've already paid 100 and something.
I probably did.
Currently, well, it was 300, and she paid 100 and something on it,
Yeah,
so.
hold on a second.
While you're thinking about that, I have a question. You're talking about building permits. What's got to be built, or what the building permit's for?
There's one building that I was working on that we thought we didn't need a building permit for because we'd already discussed it with code enforcement, and they said because it was under 200 square feet that it would not need a permit. But then once I started building it, they decided that I did need a no-fee permit. So we went ahead and got the permit for that building, and until I could get the permit, I couldn't finish construction. Now we have the permit, so I can finish putting the roof on it. And other than that, the other building permits were for all the store-bought buildings that she had purchased over the years. One of them was for a building that's been there for 20 years, so.
The total that's owed is $334. So that's excluding the 404. So
And then
sorry, I
there's-
miscalculated.
And then there's 2 permits that we applied for, well, one more other permit we applied for to build an extra storage building.
Let me,
Also, we didn't get to be, we didn't get to the permits because I had to pay on the fine. So when I went down there and paid on the fine, it should be dated when I came in there, January 1st, I think. And I paid on the fine, and that should have took $100 off of the 300 something we owed.
Yeah,
So,
that was actually a bit of a tricky situation because they needed to get the 3 building permits for the existing buildings to be in compliance. They had to pay $26, I think, a building or something, something in that range for those permits each. And then there were the 2 additional no-fee permits, but they wouldn't issue the no-fee permits until the other permits were issued, but they wouldn't issue those permits until the fees were paid on. So the fact that they have 5 permits now does go to show that they have paid the majority of what they needed to pay in whatever amount to get to where we are now. So that's a good thing.
I guess I was asking that question because I was wondering if all that stuff in the yard is going to be going into buildings, or is it going to go to the trash?
yes, in buildings.
It'll be in the 2 additional buildings that they're going to, the 2 smaller structures that are under the 300 square foot limit and so on and so forth.
any further discussion from the board?
It's not mine.
That wasn't her yard.
No, I don't have a chain link fence.
I have a
Whoa.
motion.
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the citation but dismiss the fine in the amount of $404.
I'll second.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Okay, Dearbone, Eggleton, Deer.
Need to ask, can I ask another question of, do we need to put in that motion for Brad to work with them?
If you could put some sort of definitive date in there, that would certainly assist the staff side of
Next time they
things.
come back, either this is cleaned up, or you're gonna get fined $100 a day.
We understand,
So it
sir.
And I
needs
want to make
we
sure
need
you
a
guys
time
understand that.
period. Yeah, we need
Yeah.
a time period.
Yeah. And be generous when you give us a time period. Allow for bad weather.
Well, we've given 161 days at this point in
I
time,
understand.
We understand.
and
So-
so,
So the question therein lies is normally, as the next case on the agenda is, we have to present a case to you in order to get the authority to issue that per day fine. So part of that motion then would be if you're upholding the citation, waiving the fine, and within a certain period of days, then giving us permission to automatically issue that per day fine, it would not come back in front of you. If it comes back in front of the board, then you give us that permission, then we have to wait 10 extra days and yada, 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 and then we're 30 or 60 more days down the road after that. So I don't know, Mr. Broderick, if they can roll that into the motion and make that, I mean, that's ruling on two citations at once, really, or, yeah, it's pre-approval. It's not a citation yet.
Not getting me.
Well, but they wouldn't for a
They
per day
wouldn't
fine,
come for that
just like the
anyway,
next
right?
case is. If he's okay with it, I'm okay with that.
did you get that right?
I think so. All right, so let me amend that and say that I'd like to make a motion to uphold the citation, dismiss the fine, and allow Brad 60 days to work with the staff to work with the Thomases to get this cleaned up, and should it not get cleaned up, it automatically goes into the per day fine of $100 a day.
Can't afford that. I only get $3,000 a month. I have to
They
take care
gave
of my.
us 60 days.
I'm just letting them know ahead of time. I cannot afford that.
We're lucky we got the 60 days.
Thank you. I know that.
Even though, really,
Do I hear,
to be honest,
we got a motion on the floor?
Second.
I don't think the state has the authority to do any of it according to the Constitution. But
Made a second.
it's my opinion. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I'm writing it out. I'm sorry. It just takes me a second.
Just to clarify, so that after the 60-day period, then, Mr. Broderick, that would be the authorization that we would then issue that per day fine, not that it would automatically then become a per day fine, correct?
But
It's
then,
including bad weather.
That means that if you see enough improvement at that time, you don't necessarily have to issue that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's right.
point is, once
That's
you
exactly right.
institute the fine, you know, you have a limitation on the number of days that the fine can apply.
For 60 days, correct?
Yeah.
Right, but I want to make sure that the motion is not that at the end of that 60 days, it automatically then becomes $100 a day. It's giving us the discretion, it's giving us the permission to issue that if it's not in
You have
compliance.
Got that discretion.
You
Right.
have that discretion.
Well, and I think that's what Mary's asking as well, so just making sure.
Okay, so that's what I was writing down. So we wouldn't necessarily issue the per day fine citation at the end of 60 days if there's enough improvement made. Okay. Dearbone and Eggleton, right? Or Thomas. Thomas did that one. Okay, let me. Okay, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, have a good weekend.
case 6. Case 2019-5469, 721
Smith, thank you.
McElroy Way. Officer Brad Charterowski. And is there anyone here where are we with this one? Brad?
Yeah, this is a per day fine request, so there's no notice given to the owner unless they oppose the citation, if you choose to allow that. This case is a result of a roaming inspection that was conducted on June 26th of last year. During the inspection, the following violations were noted: inadequate protective treatment on multiple exterior surfaces, roof drains, gutters, downspouts were in disrepair, duty of maintenance of private property due to ongoing code violations over a period of several years and previous fines and citations, accumulation of junk scrap outdoors on the property, and an accumulation of rubbish and garbage outdoors on the property. A notice of violation was sent to the PVA listed owner and address on the 26th of June with the compliance date of the 27th of July of 2019. The pictures in front of you there are from the date that the notice of violation was sent, where you can see an accumulation of rubbish and garbage into the carport and exterior property areas. The gutters are falling off at the front of the house. Downspouts are crushed and falling off the front of the house, and there's peeling, chipping, and flaking paint throughout the majority of the structure. On the 29th of July, I re-inspected and found that the property remained in violation with no positive changes having been made. I left a door hanger at the property noting noting the notice of violation that was sent by mail and to show progress with the nuisance and structural violations to avoid any sort of fine or citation. I noticed additional violations once I entered the property to leave the door hanger. Researched property owner information on the 13th of August after I re-inspected and found that the property remained in violation. I attempted to exhaust all voluntary compliance, researching past cases, trying to find any sort of contact information for an owner to gain their cooperation. Also spoke with Code Enforcement Officer Jared Poteet, who worked the most recent case at the location and issued citations on that case as well. On the 5th of September of this year, I re-inspected and found that the property remained in violation and there were no positive changes. The vehicle that was known to be driven by the owner was parked in the driveway, and another vehicle was parked in the yard. I made several attempts at knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell to speak with anyone at the location, and no one would come to the door. Since I had exhausted all other attempts at voluntary compliance and the property remained in significant violation, I issued a citation on that date, sent it by first class and certified mail to the PVA listed owner and address with a compliance date of the 16th of September, and that contained all the previous violations on the notice of violation, as well as indoor furniture, parking in the yards, and scattered garbage. The pictures in front of you are from when that citation was posted. As you can see, the significant peeling and flaking chipping paint along the soffit and eaves, scattered garbage, accumulated rubbish and furniture. And there you get a good idea of how significant the paint issues are around the exterior of the home in numerous places.
We have a name of the homeowner?
Yes, sir. So that should be on the citation and all that, but that's Betty Cleveland.
Now?
Betty Cleveland. Betty Cleveland is the property owner of record. And that is, again, who's been cited in the past. That's who we've sent notices of violation to, and we've had difficulty trying to make any contact with her at all.
Is that her main residence?
Yes, it is owner occupied, from what I understand. On the 19th of September, I re-inspected and found that the property again was in violation. Again, issued a citation, mailed certified in first class with a compliance date of the 30th of September. Here are the pictures from that citation. Again, significant areas of paint. There are some areas where wood from the soffit eaves and fascia have come off, and it appears that there are animals, birds, some other creatures living in there. Furniture boxes, piles of wood and landscape debris, and other items that are just piled up in the backyard. Again, this is, it appeared that someone was home, lights were on, attempted to make contact and no one would come to the door, but you can see the overall sort of lack of property maintenance. The third citation was issued on the 1st of October, also sent by the same means, posted on the property with a compliance date of the 11th of October. And additionally on this citation was added an accumulation of construction, demolition, and landscaping debris. I'll show you the pictures here in a moment. It should be noted, though, that while I was posting the citation, someone came out of the house and spoke with me. She would not tell me who she was and was not forthcoming with any information about her relationship to the property owner. She just kept saying she was there to clean the house and that the person that owned the property took care of someone, I guess, in their home at a different location. Wouldn't really give me any contact information at all. She agreed that the property was in bad shape and gave me permission to enter into the side and rear yards while I was there. She accompanied Joe and I in doing so, and we walked around the property, and she kept saying, yes, it's in very bad shape, but wouldn't give me any sort of contact information for the actual owner. I hand-delivered a copy of the citation at that point to her, asking her to have the owner contact me, showed her all of the violations and where my contact information was, and the lady just kept saying, oh, she's not going to call you. She just won't call you. And that's really about as much as I could get out of her. So here are the pictures from the third citation being posted. Again, I did post it on the property and then hand-delivered it to that person as well. And again, some of these are a little bit closer up pictures of some of this debris and such because I was able to enter the property with her permission while she was there. So we walked around with her and got some close-up pictures. But again, the wood is decaying. There's holes throughout some of the columns. The fascia, the gutters are continuing to deteriorate. There's holes in some of the columns. And again, the peeling paint issues. So these pictures are from today. The case has been open for 214 days. The property remains in violation with all of the previous issues other than vehicles being parked in the front yard, which I have not seen on any of my subsequent inspections. The gutters, again, continue to deteriorate and fall off the front of the building, downspouts and such. All of the rubbish, the ceiling fan, the trash, and such are still there. And the paint all the way around the structure is peeling and flaking, continuing to deteriorate. Our request at this point is for permission to issue a per-day fine after we send 10 days' notice to the property owner, informing them that we're going to do so in an effort to try to gain compliance or some sort of movement at this location.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I have a motion?
Number one.
Thomas, Dearbone, Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes. Question, is this an elderly
Anything-
person, or do we know?
Anything else from the board?
I got a question on that one.
Yes, sir.
I used to know a Cleveland female type, not, I did know her, but didn't know her. Something about
This
real
is-
estate. Have
I thought
you?
this was Betty Ruth, and it's not.
Oh,
It's
oh,
not?
okay.
That's who I was.
That's who I
I
thought.
started kindergarten with Betty Ruth, so that's who I was.
Well, I know where she lives, but that's
She
not
lives
the
on
same
Craig
one.
Avenue.
That's not the same one.
No.
This is a Betty M. Cleveland, it looks like, from all the paperwork. Betty M. as in Mary, or... And again, I mean, I Googled, I white-paged, I yellow-paged, I looked through all the cases. I mean, I've done everything I can to try to track her down without a
Council
whole
and I
lot of
were
luck. So.
thinking about the same person, so. All three of us were.
Anything else from our code officers, the board? Make a motion.
I'll make that motion to get out of here.
second it.
Simpson, Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you all.